Hi, everybody. Welcome to this live chat after my Why I Think Richard Allen is Guilty video. I'm joined by the channel Cryptex. He does videos about Delphi. You want to just discuss what other videos you do? What your channel's about?
Hello, Tom. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for joining.
Thank you, man.
So what is your YouTube channel about?
Yeah, my YouTube channel is mostly about Delphi. It's Delphi content. Basically, that is still a small channel. It's like 2,000 followers, something like that.
And so you had asked to interview me, and I said I don't like to talk about myself. So I said, well, if you want to talk about the case, we can just like discuss certain issues. So is there anything you want to bring up, or you just want to like look at the comments in the chat?
No, I want to ask you some questions. I know you were, first of all, I respect your work a lot. I
Thank
think
you.
you are a very honest creator. You don't have any weird agenda here. You're not pushing any narrative. So just to tell that I really respect your work a lot, and thank you for having me here in your channel, man. I appreciate that.
I'm weird. I don't have a weird agenda.
Yeah, you are. No, I'm just kidding.
That's okay.
I know that you were in Delphi during the process. You were taking notes and you were watching evidence that we, as a public, we don't have the opportunity yet to know, to watch. I was curious about the videos, the BG videos, the original one and the enhanced video. Can you tell me about that? What was your feeling? What did you see about that? I'm just curious because it's not yet clear for me
Yeah.
what was
So
presented during the process.
I would probably not be a good eyewitness. I mean, I've tried myself, like walking down a sidewalk, like how can I describe the person I just saw? And also like taking notes, it was kind of difficult for me to like look at the screen and also try and capture in my notes. So for the Bridge Guy video, I think they played it a total of 4 times when I was in the courtroom. The first time I was on the left side of the courtroom and the TV, it was like a big screen TV. I was behind it. So I only heard. And I heard, I think I heard guys. I did not hear the go down the hill the first time. So then, like, I don't know if it was later that afternoon. I think it was after the lunch break, they played it again. And we've all like seen this 2-second video of Bridge Guy.
That was
And
that was the original one or the enhanced video?
the first time I saw it was the original.
Okay.
So, I mean, you wonder like, what is the full 43 seconds? And you finally see, like you said, I don't like to like say anything that's wrong, but my recollection is it starts with the gravel at the end of the trail. So Libby pushed record and is facing the ground, which to me meant that she was scared and she did not want this guy to see that she was recording. Because I really believe that they crossed paths at least. So that was like 213. I estimate around 153 is when Betsy Blair turned around. She said Abby and Libby were like 2 to 3 minutes from hybrid. So maybe 15 minutes before the 213 video, Abby and Libby walked a few feet from this guy. Then he's coming towards them at the end. And I just think that Libby got scared and was like, let me just push record. But she couldn't be holding it up like so he could see. So after the gravel, I think she held it up very quickly, and you see, or at least my attention was focused on, wow, okay, she's about 10 feet from the end of the bridge. Abby, I later counted, I think she was about 10 railroad ties from the end of the bridge. But like your attention or mine was focused on, wow, that's Abby. Okay, where is she in perspective to the end of the bridge from Libby? I was not really looking for Bridge Guy. And the first time she lifted up her phone, I did not see him.
Okay.
It does not mean that he's not in there or that it was messed up. My recollection is that she again put the phone down to the side or towards the gravel. And then she lifted it a second time to get a better recording of this guy, but very quick. That's my recollection. If it comes out, I might be wrong. So later they did show this like enhanced and optimized version where they kind of like turned it on the screen and zoomed in on the bridge guy. So I did hear, like I said, the first time you hear guys, it was from far away compared to us hearing the enhanced audio version, it's like loud. So I first noticed that just hearing the audio. He's far away from her camera microphone.
Okay. The
One more thing. So the total perspective from my recollection is Libby is 10 feet from the end of the bridge. When we see Bridge Guy, I'm almost certain he was near platform 6, the last platform. Between platform 6 and the end of the bridge, Abby was approximately halfway between that.
Okay. How long can we see Bridge Guy? It's like 1 second, 2 seconds,
From my
1
recollection,
millisecond.
it's like the Bridge Guy video is like the 2 seconds. It's when she lifted it up real quick, and then she put it
Okay.
back down to hide it. So
Okay.
it's nothing more clear than what we saw for many years in the 2-second video.
All right. Do we know what was the program or the software that was used to enhance the video and the audio?
I believe I forget. There's so many names. I know that the guy didn't reference what he used, but I believe he said to do the Bridge Guy like screenshot. He took the screenshot and he edited the screenshot, like with lighting and stuff like that. So I don't know that they really edited the video itself, other than zooming in.
So when we hear the word like enhancement, is mostly like some kind of filter. It's not really a
Yeah, I
software.
think yes. I think he said he adjusted like the I don't know, contrast, stuff like that from the screenshots, because I think he said there's only 3 frames that were decent enough. Like I said, she like lifts it up real quick, and it's an iPhone 6. He at some point was like, well, I just said that he was at platform 6 the first time. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like I'm saying, if sound isn't working, exit and come back in. I can hear you. Can anybody hear us, or is just some people having a problem? Yeah. So, like I said, I don't have any hidden agenda. I'm just trying to recall what I remember
No, for
seeing.
sure. I know.
All right, sound is good for some people. All right, thank you.
So that was for the image, for the video, let's say. And what about the audio? Do we know what was the software or the program used to enhance that audio?
I will have to look at my notes. I might have written it down, and I'll send you a message to see if I can. I'm pretty sure I did write down certain program names, but I can't remember at this time.
And who was in charge of doing those enhancements? What unit or what agency was in charge of doing that?
I want to say Bunner, but there's another guy's name. I can send you this stuff later. I don't have it that I can pull up right now, but he did testify. The guy who enhanced the video and screenshots, he testified.
Okay, and in your opinion, those I don't want to use the word modification, but those enhancements, let's say, the outcome is more representative of the reality or of the actual voice of Bridge Guy, let's say, and the actual image or the actual look of Bridge Guy, or the outcome is a total different thing. It's like a distorted image. What's your idea about that?
Well, like Ivy pushed that here that I've highlighted on the screen. When that video was first released, you clearly could see Abby's arm and Bridge Guy was behind her. So yeah, Bridge Guy was kind of hidden from behind Abby. That's why, like I said, your attention is focused on, oh my gosh, that's Abby. You're not really looking at the smaller outline right over her right shoulder. So as I said, the guy's part was kind of low. So they definitely had to enhance it, the audio part. And I don't recall hearing the go down the hill because it's so far away. And I guess he was like in a tone that's kind of like lower. Bunner, I think might be Bunner. He was, I guess, the guy who enhanced it.
Because my point is that when you use a program to try to make the voice more clear, let's say, at the end, what you hear is actually the voice of the guy, or is something that passed for some type of filters. And yes, you can hear better what is he saying, but is the voice more representative of the actual voice of the guy or not? That's my point. I don't know.
Yeah. I hope they'll release the original audio and original video with the original audio, and people can, I'm sure, analyze it and try and determine for their own selves.
Okay. Do you think that there is any possibility that the audio comes from another guy different to Bridge guy? Because even law enforcement in one of the press conferences, they say, please don't assume that the voice and the video come from the same person. So do you think that's a potential situation here, or not at all?
I believe it's the guy on the bridge who she captured, because she's talking, like saying, she's kind of like doing a voiceover saying, there's nowhere else to go. We're at the end of the bridge, at the end of the trail. She's not really talking to like another man who's standing there. So I believe it is the man who's captured walking towards her.
Okay. I know that you watched the videos. The camera is always facing Abby and Brice guy, or in at some moment the camera turns toward the creek, let's say, or not at all?
No, it's mostly on the gravel towards the ground. So actually it's holding it like I said, you can definitely see the stones. And at one point you see the top of Libby's black and white Nike sneaker.
Okay.
Which is kind of sad, like knowing that in a few minutes she never was in those sneakers ever again. She did not really point it towards the Weber's house. It was mostly down at the ground or towards the end of the high bridge where Abby and Bridge guy were coming from.
Okay. In your opinion, Tom, this crime was committed by Richard Allen alone, or do you think that there were maybe other actors here?
Well, like I said in my video, the 4 girls saw one guy coming from Freedom Bridge. Betsy sees one guy on platform 1, like whatever, like 20 minutes later. And one man is seen on Libby's video. So I do think it was only one person, yes.
But all of this happens from one side of the bridge. No, we don't know what happened at the other side. You know what I mean?
On the north side, yeah. You're saying that you don't know if there's anybody else waiting on the north side of the creek?
Exactly.
Yes, that's a decent point. But like I said in my video, Betsy Blair was there from 12:02 to 1:15, walking all over the trail. She never saw any other men. She looked at the high bridge. And
yeah, but there are other ways to go to the other side of the bridge, not only walking through the trail, no?
Correct, but it's like she didn't see anybody for like an hour and a half, and neither did the 4 girls saw this guy walking his dog. I'm not sure what time that was, but
those people, they didn't cross the bridge, no?
No.
They were always at one side of the trails.
Well, how would Richard Allen, this other man, be communicating?
I don't know. I think that there is maybe a connection between the clients and Richard Allen, but this is just speculation from my side. Dropbox or something like that. I don't know. I think the Wabash River search is very coincidental. So the case was like called during almost 5 years. Nothing happened. And right after the confession of Keegan Klein at the Grissom Air Force Base, they went to search the Wabash River. And right after that search, they arrested Richard Allen. To me, it's a big coincidence. I know that coincidences happen in this type of crimes, but I cannot disconnect the clients from the case. There are too many coincidences here. Anthony shots, but it's just my theory, in my opinion. I don't want to challenge your ideas. It's
no, it's okay. But I mean, police said there's no evidence that put Kagan or his father in Delphi that afternoon.
Police what?
Police said there's no evidence that put Kagan or his father in Delphi that afternoon.
But there is no. I don't think the client's alibi is airtight.
Well, they said that Kagan was using his cell phone at his house in Peru.
There were cell phones being active at his phone at his house, but we don't know if those persons were the clients, or how do you know? We know that there were cell phones being operated. at the house of the clients. But how do we know that there were the clients? That's an open door, in my opinion. Yeah, you can argue that likely there were the clients, but to me, this is not an airtight alibi. Just my feeling.
Well, they looked at the video and there's no red Jeep of the clients going through the route that they would have gone.
But that's not the only route to go to the cemetery. There are other ways to go to the cemetery. And
No, but
to me,
I'm almost certain Kagan said he may have even gone with police to show the route they took, and they looked at the video from that route that he said they took, and the red Jeep on there.
Yeah, go ahead. And the red Jeep to me is like a red herring from law enforcement. I don't think the clients would use a red Jeep to go to the cemetery. Everybody is gonna spot a red Jeep. To me, they used a different car, and I think that the confession is actually a real confession. And in my opinion, Keegan made like a deal with law enforcement, and that sentence that he is serving today, 43 years in prison, is going to be reduced at one point. But again, it's my opinion and my speculation. But I just wanted to know your opinion about that. Other question for you, Tom. What do you think about the fact that there is like a lack of defensive injuries on the hands of the girls? That to me is like a big indication that multiple actors were here committing the crime.
I mean, that's a great point. I'm sure, as a lot of us, we've tried to figure out how did this actually play out. And if Abby's found like this, her neck is cut, no blood on her hands, like how did somebody, like, I don't know, sit on her? It's like, I don't understand. Some people have said maybe Libby got killed first and Abby fainted by seeing her like best friend get cut. I don't know. That's one option. I don't have an answer. I'm not sure, but it's definitely, I mean, it's a good point to say, like, how could one person, I mean, the killer, point a gun at two girls with his dominant hand to intimidate them, but also then have a knife in another hand to cut them? And there's like two girls in two places. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
I mean, SB74 says fight, flight, or freeze. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a mystery. We don't have the answer yet. I agree. I know that this is a subject that it has been talked forever in this case. What do you mean? What do you think about the sticks? Do you think that there were placed to hide the bodies, or there's another type of signature there, or what's the significance of the sticks in your opinion, Tom?
I only saw the diagrams, and it does seem suspicious that they were only placed like on their necks. And if you're looking to hide bodies, you would put it obviously all over. We don't know if he got interrupted with doing the sticks. I mean, it's obviously a long time, because if he's only seen, if you want to believe that Sarah Carbois saw him around 3:57, that's like an hour and a half after, almost, or an hour and 20 minutes after the cell phone stopped moving. So like, what would he even be doing if they're dead for over an hour? I mean, he would have to go, I don't know, walk around the woods. I mean, obviously it's the woods, so there are large branches all around. I don't know. I do not think it was any kind of Odinist symbol, those branches. I mean, he apparently said to Dr. Walla, I covered them with branches. He also said he stayed to make sure that they were dead and were not suffering, which I don't really understand that part. But what do you think about the branches? You think it's a symbol?
I think it's a signature. I don't know what does it mean. It's one of the mysteries here. And as you said, the fact that the branches or the sticks were placed above the throats of the girls, that's weird. I don't think it was an attempt to hide the bodies. That's just my feeling. If that was an attempt to conceal the bodies, it was a really poor attempt to do that. So I don't think so. And again, I think there were multiple actors here, and most probably the clients, in my opinion, but I don't know. And regarding the sticks situation, Tom, one of the reporters that was in the courtroom during the process, he put a tweet in his Twitter account, and he made like a drawing, and we can see like an asterisk made with sticks over a pool of blood. Did you remember that?
I've never wanted to see their bodies like dead, so I would look down during that part. The only time I saw a body was when they were showing photos of the unspent round. I saw like Libby's, like from her right knee down. Obviously, she had no clothes on. That was the only time I saw like the body. So no, I did not see any of the in-court photos of their bodies at the crime scene. So I can't comment on that. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Do you think that this investigation was properly conducted, or that was like a crappy investigation? What's your feeling about that?
I would say it was more of a crappy investigation. However, within the first few weeks, there was, I think, 200 law enforcement officers from 45 different agencies. They were just not organized. And obviously, somebody wrote down cleared on this Richard Allen tip. But to me, one of the interesting parts is they looked at so many other people and nobody added up until Richard Allen when they went back to look at him again. So for like 5.5 years, they were looking at everybody else and they could never find anything that would indicate that it was this person until they went back and looked at Rick and was like, okay, these things, in the first 3 and 5 days, he said he was there at 2:13. But like I said in my video, why didn't he see all these other people, and why did not a single person see Richard Allen in 2 hours?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the investigation was a disaster. Let's just be honest.
And when an investigation is a disaster, how can you trust the outcome? Not you, but we. How can we trust the outcome?
That's a totally valid point. Well, like I said in my video, it's just like too many things of Rick's noon to 1:30 timeline does not add up to me. And regardless of however bad law enforcement investigated this, those are just things that I cannot get past in regards to him being guilty or not guilty. And that's why I said I would vote him guilty, because just too many unanswered questions on his behalf.
And there's a lot of unanswered questions in other regards. Let's say law enforcement, they never did an estimation or an actual analysis of the height of a bridge guy. So we are supposed to take for granted that bridge guy is 5'4", and they never did a proper analysis about the height of a bridge guy. So it was 5'4" or it was 6 feet. I don't know. We don't know. They said during the process that they didn't collect the sticks at the time because they were items of not evidentiary value. That was, to me, that was really, I cannot understand how technicians.
I totally agree. It's like crappy investigation, like you said. Like, why would you even leave these branches with these girls' blood just sitting out there? And Dan Doolin was the one who went out there a few days later, the conservation officer, and said, you guys, there's branches out here with these girls' blood. I think we should collect them.
Yeah, exactly. What is the degree of credibility you give to Dr. Walla regarding the confession of Richard Allen? Because we don't have any notes, we don't have any recording. We just have to trust her words, let's say.
Well, she said she would take notes during her sessions, and then she would immediately go back to, or not immediately, but I think the same day, she would go back and enter it into the computer, which is the same thing that Dan Doolin said he did. He took, after he interviewed Rick, he went and typed up what Rick said. I don't know. People have some issues with Dr. Walla, but she did a lot of things to help Rick. She tried to get him a TV. She got him in-person visits with his wife. I mean, she gave him a coloring book or something, but to me, she did not seem like evil trying to ruin Rick. She was trying to help him. So I know people are like, well, she was not investigating, but she was like an online sleuth or whatever, very interested in this case, which she did join like Facebook pages in 2021, even before Rick was arrested. So it wasn't like he became her client and then she was like, oh, now I got to find out everything. So she was involved before. I don't know. I don't think that she's lying and trying to like frame him. Or if he said this is how it went on May 3rd, he told her like this detailed confession. I don't think she's a liar. Plus, also, I mean, for people who do think she's a liar, okay, but we have these 6 calls where Rick is saying to his wife and mom, I did it. I mean, we have all those. So like, forget about Dr. Wallace's confessions. He's admitting over like 10 to 11 months to all these different people, I'm the one who killed Abby and Libby. Like I said, the 8 guards, the warden, his wife and mom. Like, okay, forget about Dr. Walla. She is important because he said a van, but still without that, I mean, he said so many times that he was the killer.
If I'm put in that correctional facility, I'm gonna confess the same day. I'm gonna be there. That's just my opinion. I know that they were not treating Richard Allen as Hannibal Lecter, let's say, but after 13 months in the, I don't know if the correct word is solitary confinement, or I don't know how to use it, but it's very similar to a solitary confinement. I think is expected to have those type of confessions, but again, it's speculation from my side. I don't think law enforcement they had enough evidence before the or at the time of the arrest of Richard Allen, and they were expecting to have those confessions at one point, and that's why they put Richard Allen in that facility. But again, speculation from my side.
Well, 2 things about that. One is the defense met with Rick on March 24th, 2023, and said he was fine. So that's like 4.5 months in whatever you want to call it, solitary confinement at Westville. Rick said he was fine. And these phone calls that it's played, he said, I'm okay and nobody is messing with me. I think that was like April or May 2023. Also, if it's so horrible in this condition, why is your solution to getting out of that horrible cell to say, I'm guilty? Because you're going to be in that cell for the rest of your life if you're saying I'm guilty. So I don't understand. I understand like you have some issues, and I totally understand being in a cell alone in a prison with all these crazy other convicts yelling and stuff. It would drive anybody crazy. I just don't understand why it would make somebody repeatedly say over 10 months to all these people, I'm guilty of the crime I committed, so I'm going to be in this horrible situation for the rest of my life.
Because your mind is not in the correct, in the right place at that time. And again, I think he's involved. I'm not saying he's innocent, but I think the state, they didn't prove their case, in my opinion. If we come back to the clients, and sorry for that, Tom, after the process, after the conviction of Richard Allen, Holman, he went online to do some interviews. And in a couple of them, he said that, or my interpretation is that, according to him, the Anthony Shots angle is not yet closed, that he cannot talk about the search of the Wabash River. So that reinforces maybe my confirmation bias that there are multiple actors here and that Richard Allen is not the only one. And when we talk about Anthony Shots, we do right away the connection to the clients. Do you have any comment about that?
Well, one thing is I've heard quite a few people say, could Richard Allen or somebody else have been accessing the Anthony Shots profile and knew that Abby and Libby were going to be there or whatever? But to me, law enforcement found out that Kegan Kline was accessing the Anthony Shots profile because they asked Instagram and Snapchat who is behind the Anthony Shots profile. Comcast is a U.S. internet service provider. They said the IP address is the Kline house in Peru. Mm-hmm. They didn't say Richard Allen's Delphi IP address or anybody else's. It was just Kegan accessing Anthony Shots. Also, people say, well, Kegan said I was supposed to meet her, but she never showed up. He said that, I guess, to another girl when she said, did you hear what happened to Libby? Mm-hmm. It was never specified that he said I was supposed to meet her that day at the bridge. So you have to like assume. Also, I guess police said the Snapchat messages, like the contents were never found, just I guess the timestamps, because those messages disappear. So to me, I do not think Kegan would show up anywhere if somebody's expecting Anthony shots in his abs and they see Keg and Klein and his keg around his belly, I mean, it's just not the same person. So I don't think the Kleins are involved. I respectfully disagree with you.
And no, it's okay. But what do you think about Holman's statements about that?
Well, I think he said that he believed that Anthony Schatz and Kagan could have known that Libby was going to be at the trail that day. But he said, or at least Dave Vito also said, they could not place the Kleins in Delphi, like 30 or whatever, 35 minutes away from Peru. So to me, it just seems like a huge wild goose chase, this whole Anthony Schatz, Kagan Klein being related to this crime.
Okay. What do you think about I don't know, I always try to read the words that people say when they talk. And when we say, when you were talking about Richard Allen's in the video you just made a couple of minutes ago, that Richard Allen said in one of his confessions that I committed the crime all by myself, something like that. To me, that's like a real weird statement. When we talk, we don't talk like that. Like, let's say you, Tom, you don't say, I did my live or my show alone today. You say, I did my show with Cryptex or with Sleuth, or you don't say, I did that alone by myself. It's kind of weird. I don't know. That's why those confess. I don't know. What do you think about that? Sorry.
Well, I think it was one or two times that he said alone. I think one of them may have been a guard sitting outside, and they would take notes, just like summarizing what he was saying. So I'm not sure if there's like any other kind of back and forth where he was saying other stuff, and that might have been just where the guard wrote down he did it alone. That might not be a direct quote. It's just kind of like summarizing what Rick said.
Okay, so it was not Richard Allen saying that. It was like an
No, it was Richard Allen saying it, but it's maybe somebody summarizing it. I'm not sure if that was in one of the confession calls or a guard wrote that down in his notes, just sitting outside the cell.
Okay. And I think you already said that in one of your videos, but I want to ask you again. What do you think about the fact that Abby, she was found dressed with Libby's clothes? What's your hypothesis there?
Well, she was wearing her own bras. People, I guess, say that she had two bras on, but in the courtroom, they revealed they were both 34. And one was, I guess, 34A, one was 34, just 34. So to me, it seems like both, whoever did this, which I guess Richard Allen, had them both remove their jeans and underwear, because Abby's jeans were found inside out with her. I remember that picture from the creek. So her jeans were inside out. And I think it was like the top left of the left leg was maybe like pink underwear. So I guess she had to like take her pants off in the woods, and theirs came out upside down, or inside out, sorry. So I don't know at what point she put on Libby's sweatshirt and Libby's jeans. I mean, I've tried to figure it out. I don't really know. Do you have any perspective on how it could have played out?
I don't know. I think maybe she redressed herself at one point. But yeah, it's another mystery here, something that blows my mind. The sticks, Abby being redressed. There are potential explanations, I know, but still a mystery in my opinion.
Well, at the trial, they said she was not redressed after she was stabbed, because if she was, there was no like blood that would have come over her neck if the sweatshirt was put on after she was stabbed.
Okay, good point.
So, I mean, it seems at some point, obviously, Libby was totally naked. Abby was naked below her waist, and she had to have her sneakers off. So why did she put her sneakers back on, or first put on Libby's jeans, Abby's sneakers, and then Libby's sweatshirt? Did Richard Allen or Bridge Guy like point a gun and say, okay, switch clothes? I'm not sure how it played out.
Yeah, I know. What about the weapons that were supposedly used during the murders? At one point of this process, let's say, We heard that there were maybe two type of different weapons: a serrated blade and another blade that was not serrated. Then we hear about the box cutter. Uh, what's your takeaway about that?
Well, it's weird. Dr. Kaur is the guy who did the autopsies, and he said he was in his garage and he saw a box cutter, and he saw like I guess on the bottom side, it's like it's not the knife or the blade, it's like where you hold it with your thumb or whatever. So I guess at some point he saw that in his garage and he thought, oh, if somebody put a box cutter in a neck, could the blade and the handle part also make this incision in, I guess, Libby's neck or maybe Abby's also? To me, it was just weird because he's done over like, I think 6,000 or 7,000 autopsies, and he sees his box cutter in his garage and he only thinks of Libby's wounds. So I would like to know, Rick apparently said to a guard, at least in Westville, I used a box cutter from CVS. So did the prosecution or law enforcement hear that, then contact Dr. Kaur? Then he was in his garage and saw a box cutter and said, okay, maybe it was that. I don't think the timing was revealed about when Rick said the box cutter and when Dr. Kaur saw it in his garage. So I'm not sure what to think about it. Apparently it's not on any kind of audio recording that Rick did say he used a box cutter, but I'm almost certain that Dr. Kaur said he could not rule out a box cutter.
Yeah. All the material that was presented during the process, the bridge guy video, there are 2 or 3 versions.
Yes.
There are just 2 versions or 3 versions of the video.
Well, the original, they talk about an enhanced and optimized. I think the enhanced is when they zoom in on bridge guy.
Okay.
Optimized. So the original, I don't know if the optimized is just where they maybe increase the audio. I don't recall, and I don't think in my notes I wrote specifically there were 3 different versions, but obviously there were at least 2 because I totally remember they zoom in on bridge guy on the big courtroom TV. Okay. So that was that.
All those materials, the bridge guy videos, the interrogations of Richard Allen with Holman, let's say, or the confessions at the Westville Correctional Facility. Do you think that this material is going to be released to the public at one point, or there's something that we are never gonna be allowed to know? You know.
Well, I know that there's 2 media companies who, I guess NBC Universal does Dateline and another one called Twist Media. They, within the past 2 weeks, have said, yo, Judge Gull, let us see all this stuff. I obviously think everybody like you, everybody watching have thought about this case for so many years and deserve to, I don't know if deserve is the word, but it's a public trial, or at least it was. And I was kind of like upset being in the courtroom, and Judge Gull was like, only the press is allowed to look at these exhibits after the end of the day for 15 minutes. Like us, I'm not normal, but like us non-press people weren't allowed to like go look at it. So I think it should be available to the public, not the crime scene photos and like their dead bodies and stuff like that, but the interrogations October 13th and 26th, absolutely. His phone calls, absolutely. The 43-second video, yes, hopefully it will get released, but we're still waiting to find out, I guess, for Judge Gull to say, is the next step a hearing for the motion to correct errors? And then will these 2 new appellate attorneys file an appeal for Rick? People say it might take years, so will Judge Gull say, I'm not releasing it until after the appeal is totally completed? So it might be a few years. Hopefully it'll be sooner than that.
Yeah, I hope so. What about the voice of Bridge guy? There was this guy, I think it's Harshman, the one who was listening to the conversations of Richard Allen. He was allowed to testify during the process, and he said that according to him, the Bridge guy audio down the hill matched Richard Allen's voice. To me, this is unacceptable, but because I don't think he's a voice analysis expert. And when I hear voice analysis experts, they say that the sample is too short down the hill, that you cannot compare that audio with anything else. So to me, that was a way to influence the jurors in this case. What do you think about that? And I think you said in one of your videos that according to you, it's a match. Also, it's consistent, right?
Yes, and I'm not a voice expert either, but I mean, well, one thing that came to mind is the jury, when they're deliberating, it seems they wanted, I guess, the October 13th and or 26 interviews that are many minutes long, plus Libby's video. I think the jury wanted to hear and compare for themselves again, does the bridge guy audio sound like Richard Allen from his interrogations? That was one of the things that I was looking forward to the most, not want to say looking forward to, but hearing Rick's like a better quality than his wife's Facebook audio stuff. And I wrote on my piece of paper, does he sound like Bridge Guy? Yes or no? And I circled yes. And in the October 13th interrogation, I was thinking, yes, he could be Bridge Guy. October 26th, his voice was not as similar to Bridge Guy, which I guess you could say, well, if it's a different room and microphone and you don't feel like he sounded like Bridge Guy as much in one, who's to say the audio quality of the other one is not correct and matches his voice? I don't know. Like I said, hopefully the evidence will be released and you can at least make your own decision.
I don't think we can make any decision about the voice. That's my
Well,
thinking.
somebody in the live chat before said her son told her to turn the TV off because I sound like Stephen Hawking, which is one of the most rude things. I don't disagree with it. Anyway, yeah, my voice is ridiculous. But like if I'm on video, people are gonna be like, oh yeah, that's Tom Webster's iconic, boring voice. So I think you can at least make a decision somewhat about, does it sound like Richard Allen? Like I said, hopefully you guys will be able to hear these various samples in higher quality.
I just think that that's very subjective. Remember the interview that the murder sheet they made to Keegan's stepbrother, and they played the audio, and he said, "Oh yeah, that sounds like Keegan." So
That's a good point.
if you hear Keegan 700 times talking only Keegan, not Richard Allen, you're gonna say, "Ah, yeah, it's the same voice." So the jurors were only listening to Richard Allen, you know. Not
That's a valid point. Yes. But I think there's other stuff that could point towards him being guilty, other than just a voice comparison.
I agree. A personal question: how is your skin cancer? Is improving?
Oh, thank you. I've been using hydrocortisone for 2 weeks, and my Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer is going away. So thank you, I appreciate it.
It's something like I don't know. It's okay. I hope you're gonna improve soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Tom. I don't have any other question, Tom. Thank you so much for your kindness.
All right, no problem. Thank you for joining. I'll get to the comments for like 15 or 20 more minutes, and then it's a wrap. But thank you for joining and sharing your thoughts. I appreciate it.
Me too. Thank you so much.
You want to give your channel a shout out, Cryptex? People can search Cryptex Delphi and YouTube, and they'll find your channel.
Yeah, Cryptex Delphi. They're gonna. Thank you for that.
All right, thank you for joining.
See you guys. Ciao.
Bye. All right, now to your comments. Thank you to Cryptex for joining and sharing his thoughts. Sorry I missed your comments, but hopefully you found that interesting. Hi, CJK. Like I said, yeah, another 15 or 20 minutes and then we're done. Alan told his shrink exactly what Tom just said. I don't know what that was about, but hi, yoga for the ageless. Those branches were significant. But what was the significance? The defense at some point said it was the Odinists making symbols and runes. And I don't think so. Although I know that Brad Holder had like an asterisk on his leg or something that he drew that people said matched Abby. But Brad Holder was at work until 2:45, 30 minutes away. Trial junkie, the FBI thought there was Odinist symbols. But remember that Turco, the Purdue professor, Jeffrey Turco, the defense for a while was like saying, oh, this guy said they were symbols, and then Turco disappeared because apparently I guess he didn't totally agree with the defense. Hi, Richard. My belief is there is no conspiracy with the clients. This crime screams the work of one psychopath. Psychopaths like this historically don't share their plans with anyone. Yeah, I just can't get past the part that 4 girls see one guy, Betsy Blair sees one guy on platform one guy is in the bridge guy video. Betsy was on that path for whatever, an hour, 15 minutes, and then another 30 minutes. She never saw a group of Odinists, the Kleins, anything else. Hi, Ramona. It's not a mystery, though. He used them to cover them up. Why are we relitigating this case so soon after the trial? Well, they weren't covered up with the branches. That's the issue that people have, is if you're trying to hide these bodies that you just killed, why are you only putting big branches near their neck and like their sides? Like they weren't covered. I think somebody on the stand said, oh, Indiana State Police guy said, I agree. Maybe only 5% or 3% of their body, I think 3% was covered. So how can you say that they're covered if it's only 3%? High trial junkie. Abby's mom said there were 59 people on the trails that day. Well, then how come nobody saw, or why didn't anybody see Richard Allen? And why didn't Richard Allen see anybody other than the 3 girls near the start of his visit to the trail? Casbah, they're teenage girls. They didn't run. That means there's 2 people with 2 guns. There's no way those 2 girls stuck together without somebody calling 911. They had cell phones. Why didn't they dial 9? 11. Well, there was something that came out in the trial that Libby, I guess, or they said somebody, they didn't know who, tried to open her phone. I think it was at 2:14, right after the video ended. So I don't know if she was scared and maybe did try to open the phone to call 911. Obviously, she didn't take it out of her pocket and call the full 911. But if a man is pointing a gun at you and your friend and says, go down the hill, are you afraid to dial 911 that he's going to shoot you before you can dial the full number? Hi, Illegally Blonde. 61 confessions is good enough for me. All right, thank you. Moonshadow. Alcohol makes you invincible. He could have easily taken out both. He was not drunk obliterated. 6-pack, you can be Hulk and not floppy. I have said that I guess he told Dr. Walla or maybe a guard that he stopped to get beer and had 3 beers before he went to the trail. I could have swore at some point it was referenced that he had the other 3 later, but I was looking at my notes and I'm not sure that that later 3 beers was ever confirmed. This is a good point from Ivy Push. Hello. If a second person was involved, Richard Allen would have confessed because he found God, or would not have confessed. You know, like, why is Rick saying to so many people, I did it, and not, I was just bridge guy, and these other people, the Kleins, were the murderers? And he knows about Kegan Kline. Why not pin it on Kegan, or at least say, I was the kidnapper, and that is me as bridge guy, but Kegan killed them? Because he knows that that's not true. And there's no evidence that puts Kegan on the trail. Bell Mayhem, or Mayhem, sorry. There is nothing proving Bridge Guy is the actual murderer, and that's a decent point. However, I think he is the one who kidnapped them and said, go down the hill, and that led to their death. And my point again, where are these other men hiding where they're not seen? Yoga for the ageless. FBI said bodies moved and staged. Correct. I guess there was some talk about maybe the branches were put on their necks to kind of hide what was done. What is it called? Not redressing, or I don't know. Something to like try and hide what you just did to these girls. Hi, Karen. I heard there is no documented killings by Odinists. I'm of the opinion Alan is guilty. Yeah, obviously the defense was using law enforcement investigations of the Odinists. So they were not really like making this stuff up, although maybe Todd Click said they were being sensationalist. But the defense started out the Franks memo saying it was a ritualistic sacrifice by something about white nationalists. Like, why are they killing white girls in a sacrifice? Makes no sense. Hi, Sparky. Victoria, so many of these comments are answered in the video. Jessica Fletcher to the rescue. Oh my gosh. I do like a good Murder, She Wrote episode, but I haven't watched it in a while. I think I came across a channel that has Murder, She Wrote on repeat, but I can't find it. Anybody know what it is? Anyway, somebody investigate that channel. Hi, Miranda. The whole investigation was not a disaster. Well, can you imagine if they actually like followed up with Rick within the first week? What all of like March of 2017 through October 2022 would have never happened. Other things would have never happened. I don't know. About 10 more minutes. Casbah. Richard Allen said he got interrupted by a van. I thought that location was desolate. Well, the issue is you can view the private driveway, the Webbers, from around that area. And it was February, so there were not any leaves on the tree. So he definitely could have seen the private driveway at 2:45 p.m. CJK, this was not a perfect investigation, but you can't ignore what they did to connect it to the killer. I mean, yeah, obviously some people think he's innocent. My video was just saying, okay, this is why I think he's guilty, and I just can't get past those points until Richard Allen answers them. Like, why is he not answering them? It landed his butt in prison for the rest of his life. Like, speak up. Casbah, Richard Allen talking to his wife. His wife did not ask, why did you do it? Why did you do it? That means she's staying quiet for a reason. I'm pretty sure he said, I did it. And she replied, why are you saying that? I would have liked her to say, what do you mean? Like, why did you do it? Like you said, like, how did this all play out? Say to him, I'm going to believe you. Please just tell me the truth. Because I think like Rick's mom and wife are suffering for the rest of their lives if they feel like he's wrongly convicted. They never like gave him a chance on these phone calls. It was really so frustrating listening to him say, I did it. No, it's because I did it. And they're like, nope, be quiet. I don't believe you. And they mean so much to him. He kept trying to say it and they refused to listen. So it would be nice if they say to him, okay, I'm ready to hear the truth. Please tell me exactly how this all played out. But like I said, I understand that the person they knew, they can't imagine that he's capable of this, but that doesn't mean that he did not do it. Ivy Push, tell your guest, Cryptex, about Richard Allen had Doolin change his time frame on the tip ticket. Yeah, so Doolin was on vacation or something. He came back on February 18th, and he was given this lead sheet So Richard Allen, in this October 13th interview, he said, I went to the sheriff's station after my wife said what happened to these girls. And he said he gave us information. So whoever took that information, and I totally know law enforcement screwed up a lot of stuff. So people want to make excuses. Maybe they messed this stuff up. I don't know. I don't agree with that. Whatever Rick said, the person wrote down 1 to 3 p.m. So 3 days after the murders, February 16th, Rick said, I was there 1 to 3, 2 hours. 2 days later, Doolin gets this piece of paper that says 1 to 3. And it also, I think, said Richard Allen Whiteman. He calls Rick the phone number that Rick gave. So the cell phone he gave on the 16th was correct. Rick said, I'm driving to Save-A-Lot grocery store. I'll meet you there. So I guess Doolin said, what time were you there? Were you there? And Rick said 1:30 to 3:30. And Doolin on the stand, I remember this, he said, I noted that his time changed by 30 minutes. Also, Doolin said, okay, his last name is not Whiteman. That's where the street he lives on. So to me, within the first week, Rick says, I'm there 2 hours. And then 5 years later, he's like, no, it was noon to 1:30. As I just showed in my video, that does not add up to the truth. Richard says law enforcement's biggest mistake is allowing Dan Doolin to interview Richard Allen on Allen's terms, and then the interview being misfiled. Other than that, I think they did an excellent job. That one mistake cost them 5 years, and it's just so much heartache for the family members wondering, like, for 5 years, like, who did this? And the piece of paper was in a file. I don't know. Yeah, so Doolin said, we normally meet people at their house or the police station. And he said Rick did not want to do that. But if he was driving to the grocery store, then I think that's a valid place to meet. Doolin said that he did not record it because it's not an official interview. My concern is at the bottom of that, after that interview, Doolin wrote follow-up or potential follow-up or possible follow-up. Who were the 3 girls near Freedom Bridge? So what did anybody do to find out who those 3 girls were? Apparently nobody did anything. Or else they would have talked to the 4 girls or seen that there was no 3 girls at noon, and that Rick's story does not add up. Ivy Push, I believe Walla, but she should never practice again. Practice makes perfect. Oh, sorry. A few more minutes. How far behind am I? Oh my gosh, 40 minutes. Let me skip. SP-74, Rick was in a single cell, not solitary. It's never really been revealed, like, exactly what those circumstances were. I mean, people kind of compare him to a prisoner of war. He had a tablet that he could call his family a few times a day, listen to music, movies. I mean, they're saying, obviously, it's horrible. I'm not going to act like it's not horrible being in that condition. But when he was on suicide watch, he had somebody to talk to for up to 12 hours a day. It's not like a prisoner of war situation. I do have an issue that it took 1 year and 9 months to get him to Cass County Jail. Yeah. Hi, Jinx. I hope you're behaving. Ah. Hi, Sinbad Sailor. I try. Oh my gosh, I'm not saying that. I will do 5 more comments, and then we're done. Bell Mayhem, have you checked out Halidol? I did read one article about it. Obviously, just one article is not enough, but show me some study that says Halidol causes somebody to repeatedly say they're guilty of murdering 2 kids. And he was only on Halidol for like, that's a reminder to stop chatting. he was only on Haldol for 3 months, but he was confessing for 10 months. And he was even at Cass County Jail, February 4th, 2024. The guard was walking around, and it wasn't Rick just talking to the guard. It seemed like he was praying or apologizing to God, saying, I killed those girls. I'm sorry for killing them, or something like that. Whatever he said on February 4th, 2024, it was incriminating. So was he on Haldol then? Was he in solitary confinement then? I don't think so. Ivy Push, they must have proved their case. A jury of Alan's peers found him guilty. Correct. 12 people. Moonshadow. His wife never came on the stand, I guess, or the parents saying he was normal that day. Nothing. Crickets. Well, there was something, I guess, an attorney said Rick's wife got home at 5:30 p.m. the day of the murders, and he was sleeping on the couch, but that he was not acting abnormal. Some people could say he's sleeping on his day off at 5:30 because he was depressed, and people take naps if they're depressed or old or in kindergarten. I don't know. I guess if you think he's guilty, you could say, well, he did not want to have to act like whatever normal. He could act like groggy if he was pretending to sleep on the couch, or did he really drink 3 beers maybe when he got home after doing this? And he's like, I need to sleep this off. What the hell did I just do? Not sure. Hi, Shane. Thanks for staying up late in your country outside the US. Didn't I just say 5 more comments and I've done a few more? 5 more, that's it. Shane says Kegan is not physically involved or physically fit or mentally fit. What am I right about? Anything? Tom Webster is wrong about everything. All right, next. Anna says, Cryptex and I have argued politely about Kegan saying he was supposed to meet that girl that day, etc. Kegan did not say when, where, etc., but it could be an excited utterance revealing guilty knowledge. Well, it seems like Kegan wanted attention and sympathy from a lot of people. So telling this other girl as Anthony Schatz, like, I was supposed to meet her, but she didn't show up, and have that girl be like, oh, poor you, Anthony Schatz. Want me to wax your abs with some baby oil? It could have been Kegan just trying to get attention or sympathy, like via Anthony Schatz. Trial junkie. Rick does not have to prove he's innocent, and they did not prove he's guilty. Well, to me, they did, and to 12 people on the jury, they did. And I understand that the defense and Rick do not have to prove that he's innocent, but when people are getting on the stand and saying this points towards Rick being guilty, as Rick, why are you not getting on the stand and saying, no, here's the truth about that. I'm not guilty, and here's why. He just sat in his seat at the defense table. And look where that got him. 4 more comments. Hi from the 3021. A jury voted guilty. One juror was interviewed and stated her whole vote of guilt was based on the information only the killer would know. More specifically, it was the van. Anyone not find this concerning? Did she say her whole vote was based on that? I said before, like the timing, like the 227 by the state, I don't agree with that. I might be wrong. To me, just the word van by Rick, like I said in my video, he described 2 other cars as sedan, SUV. If he sees if he's mentioning like a fake confession, Should I hide my face even more? If he's giving a fake confession, why not just say car? Coming down this random driveway, a private driveway, sedan, SUV, pickup truck, minivan. He did not use any of those terms. He said van. Brad Weber's van looks like a van. So to me, just the use of the word van, no matter what time he saw it, it's suspicious to me. Also, he said he put branches on them and cut their necks. I guess some people would say that was public knowledge before, but how would Richard Allen know that? And I'm sure some people would say, well, Dr. Walla told him. I don't think Dr. Walla is evil and trying to frame Richard Allen. How many more comments did I say? 4. Cat the Gravedigger. Rick has codependent personality disorder and would say he did it alone because he would have been protecting Kathy. I don't think his wife had anything to do with this. I'm very interested to know what kind of conversations did they have after this came out. Did she recognize his clothing? If not, let's hear from her saying Rick never owned jeans that color. He had a blue jacket, but did he have a blue jacket that was a material thin enough to show the weapon? As some people said, is that a brown waist bag or a holster around his bridge guy's waist? Did Rick have a brown shirt or hoodie? What happened to that green skull cap? It was not listed as the stuff taken on October 13th. 3 more comments. I'm still so far behind. Let me skip. Sorry that I missed so many comments. I was busy talking. Ivy Push was in the courtroom, says 1 video enhanced and 1 zoomed in and stabilized. Right, thank you. I won't count that as a comment. 2 more. Hi, Candace. It's incredibly difficult to know what type of knife was used. If Alan said he used a box cutter, I believe him. Well, he said that he stole it. I think he told this to a guard, that he stole a box cutter and put it in the garbage at CVS, the dumpster. I mean, that kind of adds up. Jinx has something she'd like to say. Anywho, anyhoozle, Rick is guilty as a flower and convicted by a jury of his peers. Indiana state statistics for overturn of conviction in appellate court is less than 15%. Peace. Choo-choo train, clown, and some clowns or something. Oh. All right, we're down to the final comment. Thank you for watching my long video about why I think Rick is guilty and for joining this live chat. As always, the next time I'll do a live chat. I'm not doing any more Delphi videos. That video took me like 70 hours to make. I've stated my boundaries. Whenever there's like a major thing to talk about, I will do another live chat. Final comment. Yeah, so tomorrow it's 8 years since this happened. Yikes. Final comment will be yoga for the ageless. Why would Rick leave the phone at the crime scene but leave no DNA? So on the ground was the phone. On top of that was one of Libby's sneakers, and that was on top of that was Abby's deceased body. Not sure how that all played out. Not sure that Rick ever found or saw the phone. So if Libby is wearing her jeans and she pushes record and then stop at the bridge and then puts it in her pocket, did at some point she whispered to Abby, I recorded him. So Abby knew that that recording of this guy was on the phone. Not sure how this all played out. Did Abby put the phone on the ground and then tried to hide it by putting Libby's sneaker on top of that? But just to me, like, how would she then lie on her back, is then cut at the neck, and her hands are just like found like this with no blood? Not sure, and I'm not sure that we'll ever know the answers unless Richard Allen and his wife calls him and says, I'm ready to hear the truth. Please tell me every single detail and be honest with me so I can know the truth going forward, and I'm not concerned that you are falsely accused. That's it. I have other stuff to do, people. I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks for joining. Thank you, Cryptex, for joining and sharing your thoughts. CRIPTEX. Search YouTube Cryptex Delphi if you want to find his channel and watch his videos. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see what happens. The next steps, like I said, Judge Gull has to decide, will there be a hearing for this motion to correct errors? And then the appeal, I guess, will finally happen. All right, we're done. I'm seeing comments, but I have to do stuff, right?